Welcome to another part in my An Atheist Reads the Bible videos. We left off on chapter 31 of Genesis. We are barely anywhere through the book, and we're already on part 4, and we've already spent 3-4 hours. This is gonna take a long time. This is gonna take maybe years. I hope it doesn't take years, but it might. It's been brought to my attention, something that should have been obvious to me before. All of the J's should be pronounced as ya. I know they're all pronounced as ja in English, but they should all be pronounced as ya, and I probably will be doing that henceforth. So, let's just start. Chapter 31 of Genesis. Now Jacob heard that the sons of Laban, I can't read, heard that the sons of Laban were saying, Jacob has taken all that was our father's, and from what was our father's he has gained all this wealth. And Jacob saw that Laban did not regard him with favor as before. This was, he took 2 wives, and they kept sleeping with them to try to get children, and they were using sex with him to one-up each other, and blah, 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 blah. That whole disgusting fucking part of the book. Anyway. Then the Lord said to Jacob, return to the land of your fathers and to your kindred, and I will be with you. Also, sorry every time that the mic pops, every time that I talk so loud that the mic pops. I don't know how to fix that. I can't fix that. And I am sorry about that. That's not an issue that I can fix. So I'm sorry. That happens like every single one of my videos, and it's a big problem. So Jacob sent and called Rachel and Rachel, and Leah, into the field where his flock was. Maybe I'll just start pronouncing them all as English, as the English does. But then there's the problem of I don't know how to pronounce some of these the way that English speakers do. I am an English speaker, but I'm also a linguist. So then it's like, I don't know how to pronounce this, so I'm just going to default to how I think it was pronounced in ancient Hebrew. And then there becomes an inconsistency there. I don't know. It's better if I just pronounce them all as if they were ancient, or because they are all ancient Hebrew, so it's better if I pronounce them all as if I was speaking ancient Hebrew, the way that the ancient Hebrews pronounced them, or my best approximation of it, as opposed to trying to pronounce it all the way that the English do, because then there are inevitably words that I don't know how to pronounce the English way. But I don't know, I guess I'll figure it out, or just continue to being inconsistent as I am. And said to them, I see that your father does not regard me with favor as he did before, but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I have served your father with all my strength, yet your father has cheated me and changed my wages 10 times. But God did not permit him to harm me. If he said, the spotted shall be your wages, then all the flock bore spotted. And if he said, the striped shall be your wages, then all the flock bore striped. Thus God has taken away the livestock of your father and given them to me. In the breeding season of the flock I lifted up my eye and saw in a dream that the goats that mated with the flock were striped, spotted, and mottled. Then the angel of God said to me, in my dream, Jacob. And I said, here I am. And he said, lift up your eyes and see. All the goats that mate with the flock are striped, spotted, and mottled, for I have seen all that Laban is doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, or Bethel even. The God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar and made a vow to me. Now arise, go out from this land and return to the land of your kindred. So, because I know I'm supposed to be, the whole point of this is that I'm like critiquing it. Obviously he's dreaming of something, and because I don't even remember the context, man, it's been too long, but he's dreaming of something, right? Dreaming of something doesn't tell you, it doesn't say anything to you about actual reality. I mean, it tells you what your mind thinks, but it doesn't tell you anything about what's going on in reality. So, because religious people tend to put all this power on dreams, or, Muhammad dreamed of, he went and took a nap and he saw an angel, right? So essentially you can imagine that what he's actually saying is that he dreamed that there was an angel there. Even if he says he woke up and saw an angel, you can imagine, you can dream of waking up and seeing an angel. You can dream of waking up, Many times my mom has dreamed of waking up, taking a shower, getting ready for work, going to work, and then actually woken up and had to do it all again and been annoyed by it, right? You can dream of waking up, and many people do dream of waking up. So, that sort of thing, where they give credence to these ideas of people, oh, well, they dreamed of it. And that makes it less credible, not more credible, right? If you dream of something happening, that doesn't make it so that it's more likely to be true. That makes it less likely to be true. You see, this is why this series is taking so long, because I just stopped for like an entire minute or so talking about something, right? Which is, I guess, fine. These videos don't get much viewership anyway. Then Rachel and Leah answered and said to him, "Is there any portion of or inheritance left to us in our father's house? Are we not regarded by him as foreigners? For he has sold us, and he has indeed devoured our money. All the wealth that God has taken away from our father belongs to us and to our children. Now then, whatever God has said to you, do." So Jacob arose and set his sons and his wives on camels. He drove away all his livestock, his property that he had gained, the livestock in his possession that he had acquired in Paddan Aram, to go to the land of Canaan, to his father Isaac. Laban had gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel stole her father's household gods. They missed a spot. They missed a spot in translating, didn't they? You see, the Hebrew Bible, the original Hebrew Bible, is full of references to the gods. The gods. Plural. Gods. Right? Not God. Gods. Abraham's God, Yahweh, is one God out of many. He is the God Elohim. He is not the only God. There are many, many gods in the actual old Hebrew Bible. And once again, this would be a section in which they're referring to multiple gods, and they missed the intentional mistranslation of removing the S at all times. Now, obviously, it's not an S in ancient Hebrew, but you get what I'm trying to say. It's not an S in ancient Greek. It's not an S in Old Latin. In almost every situation, there are a few situations, I'm sure. Are there a few situations? Yeah. I'm pretty sure there are a few situations. Yeah. Like flos versus flores, right? Flos means flower. Flores means flowers, right? So there are situations which you add an S, or usually an ES or an AS or whatever. If there's already a vowel there, you just add an S, or you know what I'm trying to say, right? And that's not a re infix. That's a S as an ES, not S. It's an S suffix, and that R is rhoticizing because of Old Latin rules. Anyway, my point is that, and I'm sure they let this pass because it's not directly saying that these gods exist, but of course, in the original actual context, it would have been that these were actually his gods, right? Because the Sumerians believed in several gods. They believed in thousands of gods, and the Jews got this same idea, inherited this same idea from them. They stole this idea from them, that there were several gods, that there were thousands, millions, billions, trillions of gods, an uncountable amount of gods. You had a god for every single part of your body. Every single part of your body had a god. Every single macro part of your body. So like your fingers have gods, but then also your hands have gods, but also your arm, including your hand, that whole section of your body has a god, but also that entire part of your body plus your body has a god, and also your body just has a god. All of these things, every single thing and every single combination of things has a god behind it. Your house has a god. Your family has a god. You have a god. All the members of your family has a god. Every single thing has a god. That was the Sumerian idea. It's also kind of a Greek idea. It's not really a Greek idea though. The Greeks didn't go that extreme. The Egyptians didn't believe that, period. But the Sumerians definitely believed that. They believed every single thing had a god. And that can be seen in the Old Testament, in the actual original Hebrew version of the Old Testament, and also the old Aramaic parts of it, although I'm not quite sure about that. That could have been later. I'm not quite sure about how Aramaic factors into it, but I know at least in Genesis, there are several references to several gods. Several references to gods, plural. Several references You know, God's dual. Hebrew has or Old Hebrew and Modern Hebrew has a dual form of nouns, and there are several places in which it mentions the two gods, the pair of gods, as opposed to the multiple gods and the one God, right? And Abraham's God, Yahweh, was just his God, and these later innovations that there's only one God and that it's the God of Abraham, that came later. That was all later, right? And the idea that Allah is a God or that Allah is the only God, that came much, much later. The Muslims came much, much later. All of these ideas ultimately come from, this ancient idea that there are several gods for every single thing from the Sumerians. We see, I am the God of Bethel, right? He's specifically saying that he's the God of a thing, right? And often that's interpreted to mean like, oh, he supports this thing or he agrees with this thing. But in the actual original context, in the actual original language, in the actual original understanding of the text, in the actual original oral tradition that the text comes from, where people spoke these stories to each other, it was actually believed that he was the God of Bethel, right? And that there was another god of something else, and there was another god of something else, right? Each city had its own god, right? Uruk had a god, and had a god, and Nineveh had a god, and all the cities had gods. Gezer had a god, and Gaza had a god, and Jerusalem had a god. All of the cities had gods. All of the towns had gods. All of the city halls had gods. All of the homes had gods. All the shops had gods. All the people had gods. All the animals had gods. All the trees had gods. All the grass blades had gods. All of the fields had gods. Everything in the sky, every single cloud had a god, right? This was the old Sumerian idea, and we see sometimes it slips through into the modern English version of the Bible because that's what these stories are based on. People say, oh, there's only one God, and the Bible talks about there's only one God. It implies several times that there are several gods, and in fact, when God says, put no other God before me, in the later part of the Bible, that we haven't gotten to yet, but when he says, you shall not put any other gods before me in the Ten Commandments, that actually implies that there are other gods. He's not saying there are no other gods. The Quran is very explicit about it. There is only one God. You shall only believe in one God. Kill anyone who doesn't believe in one God, and kill anyone who doesn't believe that one God is Allah. Okay? Very, very explicit about it. But the Bible, it implies several times that there are multiple gods. Or outright says, like here, Laban had gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel stole her father's household gods, is saying there are multiple gods. Is in fact saying that this house has multiple gods. So not only are there multiple gods, not only is there a God of this house, there are multiple gods of this house. There are several household gods that Rachel's father, Laban, has, right? That Laban has several gods of his house. Not just one, several gods for Laban's house, right? So not only is there several gods per in total, but there's also several gods for this one thing, right? So if Laban's house has several gods, then how many gods are there? There clearly aren't just one God. And Genesis, I would argue, makes it pretty clear that the original Hebrew version of Genesis makes it very clear that the original Jewish tradition was that there were several gods, Yahweh being one of them. And, if you look at the actual origins of the story of Noah's flood, for example, that story involves several gods. Sin is the god who sends down the flood, and Shamash is the god who tells Utnapishtim, which becomes Noah later, who tells Utnapishtim to build a boat to put his family on, to go warn the Sumerians. And then once he comes back and he's like, the people of Ur didn't listen to me, Shamash is like, build a boat and bring your family onto it to escape the flood. And there was no story about him bringing all the animals. It was just a story about him bringing him and his family. And then sin flooded the earth, right? And it was Enlil who ended up having enough to do it because of something or other. I don't remember the story exactly, but So all these stories that come into the Bible and are compiled in the Bible that the Jews stole from the Sumerians or inherited from the Sumerians, or however you want to put it, it doesn't matter. All these stories that they got from the Sumerians imply, or at the very least imply, if not explicitly, oftentimes explicitly say that there are several gods. And in fact, almost every single time that they mention that there are multiple gods names those gods, right? There are some stories that only mention one god, but they happen to be, there are stories that only mention one god in the same way that the story of Arachne and Athena only mentions Athena, right? It doesn't mention any of the other gods, but that doesn't mean that the Greeks didn't believe in other gods. It's just that this particular story didn't need to talk about other gods, right? There's a story about the creation of humanity, and it only mentions two gods. It only mentions Enlil, I think. Is it Enlil? I don't remember who it is, but it mentions one god and his wife, which is she's also a god. She's a goddess, right? And it mentions only those two. And they get drunk and they create humans and they create progressively more disabled people and blah, 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 blah. And that story only mentions two gods, but that doesn't mean that they didn't believe in multiple gods, right? So that I guess that's the point I'm trying to get across. Is that some of these stories only include one god, but they name that god, and it's not because they didn't believe in multiple gods, right? And the translation of the Bible into English, every single translation is wrong, and that can be factually proven just by reading the Old Testament in biblical Hebrew. It is factually bad translation, and it's a translation from Hebrew, usually into Greek, then into Latin, then into Old English, then into Modern English. So that modern English translators are looking at Old English versions, which are based on Latin versions, which are based on ancient Greek versions, which are based on old Hebrew versions, old biblical Hebrew versions, and old biblical Aramaic versions. Weren't translated very well in the first place, and then obviously it just got worse and worse as it went on. Not that all of the translators were intentionally messing stuff up, but the first few definitely intentionally or unintentionally messed some things up. And there are definitely copying errors and stuff like that. And we know that to be factual. So, but anyway, and Jacob tricked Laban the Aramean by not telling him that he intended to flee. He fled with all that he had and arose and crossed the Euphrates and set his face toward the hill country of Gilead. When it was told Laban on the third day that Jacob had fled, he took his kinsmen with him and pursued him for 7 days and followed close after him into the hill country of Gilead. But God came to Laban, the Aramean, in a dream by night and said to him, "Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad." And Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country, and Laban, with his kinsmen, pitched tents in the hill country of Gilead. This book is written really badly. It repeats stuff so often. It's just like, hey, here's this idea. Hey, here's this idea again, but slightly different. Hey, here's this idea again, but slightly different. It's like, you could combine it all together. You could say, for example, Jacob pitched his tent in the hill country, and Laban did as well. Or you could say, Jacob pitched his tent in the hill country, Jacob and Laban pitched their tents in the hill country, right? Or something like that. You don't have to say Jacob pitched his tent in the hill country and Laban pitched his tents in the hill country. It's like, we get it. They pitched their tents in the hill country. You can combine those two, right? It's not a very good book literally. I want to say literally, but that's not the word I'm looking for. Literary wise, I don't know what it's not good literature. Okay. And Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done that you have tricked me and driven away my daughters like captives of the sword? Why did you flee secretly and trick me, and did not tell me, so that I might have sent you away with mirth and songs, with tambourine and lyre? And why did you not permit me to kiss my sons and my daughters farewell? Now you have done foolishly. It is in my power to do you harm. But the God of your father spoke to me last night, saying, be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad. And now you have gone away because you longed greatly for your father's house. But why did you steal my gods? Jacob answered and said to Laban, because I was afraid, for I thought that you would take your daughters from me by force. Anyone with whom you find your gods shall not live. In the presence of our kinsmen, point out what I have that is yours, and take it. Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. So Laban went into Jacob's tent and into Leah's tent and into the tent of the two female servants, but he did not find them. And he went out of Leah's tent and entered Rachel's. Now Rachel had taken the household gods and put them in the camel's saddle and sat on them. Laban felt all about the tent, but did not find them. And he said to her father, let not my lord be angry that I cannot rise before you, for the way of women is upon me. So he searched but did not find the household gods. Then Jacob became angry and berated Laban. Jacob said to Laban, what is my offense? What is my sin that you have hotly pursued me? For you have felt through all of my goods. What have you found of all your household goods? Set it here before my kinsmen and your kinsmen, that they may decide between us two. These 20 years I have been with you. Your ewes and your female goats have not miscarried, and I have not eaten the rams of your flocks. What was torn by wild beasts I did not bring to you. I bore the loss of it myself from my hand, and you required it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. There I was, by day the heat consumed me, and the cold by night, and my sleep fled from my eyes. These 20 years I have been in your house. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 for your flock, and you have changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had not been on my side, surely now you would have sent me away empty-handed. God saw my affiliation and the labor of my hands, and rebuked you last night. A lot of words, a lot of nothings. You could write these same sentences using half the amount of words, and it would be 10 times more meaningful. Anyway, then Laban answered and said to Jacob, the daughters are my daughters, the children are my children, the flocks are my flocks, and all that you see is mine. But what can I do this day for these my daughters, or for their children whom they have borne? Come now, let us make a covenant, you and I, and let it be a witness between you and me. So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. And Jacob said to his kinsmen, gather stones, and they took stones and made a heap, and they ate there by the heap. Laban called it Yegar Sahaduta, but Jacob called it Galed. Laban said, this heap is a witness between you and me today. Therefore he named it Galed. And Mizpah, for he said, the Lord watch between you and me when we are out of one another's sight. If you oppress my daughters, or if you take wives besides my daughters, although no one is with us, see, God is witness between you and me. Then Laban said to Jacob, see this heap and the pillar which I have set between you and me. This heap is a witness, and the pillar is a witness, that I will not pass over this heap to you, and you will not pass over this heap to me, and this pillar is to me to do no harm. To do harm. And this pillar to me to do harm. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge between us. So Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. And Jacob offered a sacrifice in the hill country and called his kinsmen to eat bread. They ate bread and spent the night in the hill country. Early in the morning, Laban arose and kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. Then Laban departed and returned home. I gotta say, I'm not really interested in the plot of this book. Just like personally, I feel, each book is for each person. I just feel like this, I'm not really invested in the plot of the book. That's not related to any religious criticism. It's just I don't find the plot very interesting. I also doubt that it actually happened in certain parts, but whatever. That's a problem with the religion, but the actual just disliking of the plot, I find it rather boring. That's not a disliking of the religion. I just think it's boring. I have to find the perfect way to sit that makes it so that you can hear me well, but also so that I can relax. Chapter 32. I'm sighing a lot because I'm not breathing out and in enough. A lot of reading out loud, and I'm not really taking breaths when I should be. So Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, "This is God's camp." So he called the name of that place Mahanaim. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau, his brother, in the land of Seir, the country of Edom, instructing them, "Thus you shall say to my lord Esau, Thus says your servant Jacob, I have sojourned with Laban and stayed until now. I have oxen, donkeys, flocks, male servants, and female servants. I have sent to tell my lord," also, by the way, slavery. Anyway, I know they're called servants, but, yeah. I doubt that they're getting paid. "I have sent to my lord in order that I may find favor in your sight." And the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, "We came to your brother Esau, and he is coming to meet you, and there are 400 men with him." With me. With him? No, it says with him. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed. He divided the people who were with him, and the flocks and herds and camels, into 2 camps, thinking, if Esau comes to the one camp and attacks it, then the camp that is left will escape. And Jacob said, "O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, O Lord, who said to me, Return to your country and to your kindred, that I may do you good. I am not worthy of the least of all the deeds of steadfast love and all the faithfulness that you have shown to your servant. For with only my staff I crossed this Jordan, and now I have become 2 camps. Please deliver me from the land of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, that he may come and attack me, the mothers with the children. But you said, I will surely do you good and make your offspring as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude." So he stayed there that night, and from what he had with him he took a present for his brother Esau, 200 female goats and 20 male goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 milking camels and their calves, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys and 10 male donkeys. These he handed over to his servants, every drove by himself, and said to his servants, "Pass on ahead of me, and put a space between drove and drove." He instructed the first, "When Esau my brother meets you and asks you, to whom do you belong? Where are you going? Where do you belong? Or who do you belong to?" Yeah. Yep. Definitely not slaves. Definitely just servants. Anyway, where are you going? And whose are these ahead of you? Then you shall say, "These belong to your servant to your servant Jacob." Oh yeah, he is servant to his brother Esau. "They are a present sent to my lord Esau, and moreover he is behind us." He likewise instructed the second and the third, and all who followed the droves. "You shall say the same thing to Esau when you find him. And you shall say, moreover, your servant Jacob is behind us, for he thought I may appease him with the present that goes ahead of me. And afterward I shall see his face, perhaps he will accept me." So the present passed on ahead of him, and he himself stayed that night in the camp. The same night he arose and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 children, and crossed the ford of the Yabok. He took them and sent them across the stream, and everything else that he had. And Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of day, whatever. When the man saw that he did not prevail against Jacob, he touched his hip socket, and Jacob's hip was put out of joint as he wrestled with him. What the fuck is going on? And a man wrestled with him until... Okay. Then he said, let me go, for the day that has broken. But Jacob said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. And he said to him, what is your name? And he said, Jacob. Then he said, your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel. For you have striven with God and with me and with men and have prevailed. Doesn't Israel mean the land of God? Isra meaning land and El meaning God. He just named him land of God. That's whatever. Then Jacob asked him, please tell me your. But he said, why is it that you ask my name? And there he blessed him. So Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, saying, for I have seen God face to face, and yet my life has been delivered. The sun rose upon him as he passed Penuel, limping because of his hip. Therefore, to this day, the people of Israel do not eat the sinew of the thigh that is on the hip socket, because he touched the socket of Jacob's hip on the sinew of the thigh. Okay. Unless you have to explain the weird shit in your culture some way. That's not specifically about Jewish culture. That's every culture has some weird shit, and all of them feel they need to explain it through some stupid religious or otherwise way. Oh yeah, we do this weird thing, but it's because of insert stupid nonsensical story. And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau was coming, and 400 men with him. So he divided the children among Leah and Rachel and the 2 female servants, and he put the servants with their children in front, then Leah with her children, and Rachel and Joseph last of all. Getting tired of pronouncing them like they're biblical Hebrew, I'll just pronounce them like English. He himself went on before them, bowing himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. But Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And when Esau lifted up his eyes and saw the women and children, he said, who are these with you? The children whom God has graciously given your servant. Then the servants drew near, they and their children, and bowed down. Leah likewise and her children drew near and bowed down, and last Joseph and Rachel drew near, and they bowed down. Esau said, what do you mean by all this company that I met? Jacob answered, to find favor in the sight of the Lord. But Esau said, I have enough, my brother, keep what you have for yourself. Jacob said, no, please, if I have found favor in your sight, then accept my present from my hand, for I have seen your face, which is like seeing the face of God, and you have accepted me. Please accept my blessing that it's brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. Thus he urged him, and he took it. Then Esau said, let us journey on our way, and I will go ahead of you. But Jacob said to him, my Lord knows that the children are frail, and that the nursing flocks and herds are a care to me. If they are driven hard for one day, all the flocks will die. Let my Lord pass on ahead of his servant, and I will lead on slowly at the pace of the livestock that are ahead of me, and at the pace of the children, until I come to my Lord in Seir. So Esau said, let me leave with you some of the people who are with me. What need is there? Let me find in favor in the sight of my Lord. So Esau returned that day on his way to Seir. But Jacob journeyed to Succoth, and built himself a house and made booths for his livestock. Therefore, the name of this place is called Succoth, or Succoth. And Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, which in the land of Canaan, on his way from Paddan Aram, and he camped before the city. And from the sons of Hamor, Shechem's father, he bought for 100 pieces of money the piece of land on which he had pitched his tent. Therefore he erected an altar and called it El Elohe Israel, God, the God, land of God. God, the God, land of God. El, Elohe, Israel. Okay. Now Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Jacob, went out to see the women of the land. And when Shechem, the son of Hamor the Hivite, the prince of the land, saw her, he seized her and lay with her and humiliated her. What the fuck? And his soul was drawn to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob. He loved the young woman and spoke tenderly to her. What the fuck? What the fuck? So Shechem spoke to his father Hamor, "Get me this girl for my wife." Now Jacob heard that he had defiled his daughter Dinah, but his sons were with his livestock in the field, so Jacob held his peace until they came. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Jacob to speak with him. The sons of Jacob had come in from the field as soon as they heard of it, and the men were indignant and very angry because he had done an outrageous thing in Israel by lying with Jacob's daughter, for which such a thing must not be done. But Hamor spoke with them, saying, "The soul of my son Shechem longs for your daughter. Please give her to him to be his wife." It's not up to her, it's up to the dad for some reason. She doesn't get a choice, because why give a woman a choice? This book is definitely not sexist at all in any way. Yep, definitely a perfect example of good morals, not to mention all the fucking genocides and shit. But we haven't gotten to that yet, so let's not talk about that until we get to it. There are a lot of genocides in this book. "Make marriages with us, give your daughters to us, and take our daughters for yourselves. You shall dwell with us, and the land shall be open to you. Dwell and trade in it, and get property in it." Shechem also said to her father and to her brothers, "Let me find favor in your eyes, and whatever you say to me I will give. Ask for me as great a bride price and give. Ask me for as great a bride price and gift as you will, and I will give whatever you say to me. Only give me the young woman to be my wife." Again, she doesn't get a choice. It's all up to the guys discussing, because her life won't be important to her. I mean, why would her life be important to her? Why would she care what happens in her life? Don't be ridiculous. Come on. The sons of Jacob answered Shechem and his father Hamor deceitfully, because he had defiled their sister Dinah. They said to them, "We cannot do this thing to give our sister to one who is uncircumcised." That's the problem. The problem is that he's uncircumcised, not that Nope, the problem is that he's uncircumcised. Okay, for that would be a disgrace to us. Yep, that's the reason. Alright, well, only on this condition will we agree with you, that you will become as we are by every male among you being circumcised. Then we will give our daughters to you, and we will take your daughters to ourselves, and we will dwell with you and become one people. Again, they don't get a choice. It's all up to the dudes. Anyway, their words pleased Hamor and Hamor's son Shechem. And the young man did not delay to do the thing. Great writing, guys. Really great writing. They're going to specify fucking everything until this point, which the thing is going to be what's said. Whatever. Because he delighted in Jacob's daughter, now he was the most honored of all his sons, all his father's house. So Hamor and his son Shechem came to the gate of their city and spoke to men of their city, saying, "These men are at peace with us. Let them dwell in the land and trade in it, for, behold, the land is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters as wives, and let us give them our daughters." Again, they don't get any choice. It's all up to the dudes. Only on this condition will the men agree to dwell with us to become one people, when every male among us is circumcised as they are circumcised. Will not their livestock, their property, and all their beasts be ours? Only let us agree with them, and they will dwell with us. And all who went out of the gate of his city listened to Hamor and his son Shechem, and every male was circumcised, all who went out of the gate of his city. On the third day, when they were sore, two of his sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took their swords and came against the city while it felt secure, and killed all the males. They killed Hamor and his son Shechem with the sword and took Dinah out of Shechem's house and went away. Why? Wait, hold on. I don't know why they did that. They did that. I don't know why. I don't understand. I don't know why anything in this book happens. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, moving on, I guess. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain and plundered the city, because they had defiled their sister. Okay, that's the reason. Well, I'm glad that we're acknowledging that that's wrong. Okay, that's good. I'm glad we're acknowledging that's wrong. Jesus Christ. I thought they weren't going to acknowledge that. I thought they were just going to kill them for the fucks of it, I guess. For the fucking humor of it. I don't know. Jesus. Okay. And when I say Jesus, it's just an expression. So, you know. Because I have heard that argument before. Oh, well, you believe in God because you use Jesus as a phrase. It's an expression. They took their flocks and their herds, their donkeys, and whatever was in the city and in the field, all their wealth, all their little ones, and their wives, all that was in the houses they captured and plundered. Then Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, "You have brought trouble on me by making me stink in the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites and the Perizzites. My numbers are few, and if they gather themselves against me and attack me, I shall be destroyed. Both I and my household." But they said, "Should he treat our sister like a prostitute?" I don't think that's okay to do to a prostitute, but okay. God said to Jacob, "Arise, go up to Bethel and dwell there. Make an altar there to God." I mean, you know, because prostitutes consent. So, you know, make an altar. I don't think that's okay. I don't think that's an okay thing to do to anyone. Period. Like ever at all. Anyway, make an altar there to the God who appeared to you when you fled from your brother Esau. Again, the God kind of implies that there are several gods. So Jacob said to his household and to all who were with him. I know that I started out saying that I would take every word literally. I am putting it in context, though. The context that I know that the book was written in. You know, all the context I know about the book, I'm going to contextualize it within that context. So Jacob said to his household and to all who were with him, "Put away the foreign gods that are among you, and purify yourselves and change your garments. Then let us arise and go up to Bethel, so that I may make there an altar to the God who answers me in the day of my distress and has been with me wherever I have gone." I should go get a glass of water. My throat hurts. So they gave to Jacob all the foreign gods that they had, and the rings that were in their ears. Jacob hid them under the terebinth tree that was near Shechem. And as they journeyed, a terror from God fell upon the cities that were around them, so that they did not pursue the sons of Jacob. And Jacob came to Luz, that is Bethel, which is in the land of Canaan, he and all the people who were with him. And there he built an altar and called the place El Bethel, so God's Bethel, because their God had revealed himself to him when he fled with his brother. And Deborah, Rebekah's, I can't add an English suffix to a Hebrew word. Rebekah's nurse died, and she was buried under an oak below Bethel. So he called its name Alon Bakhut. I don't know what that means. God appeared to Jacob again when he came from Padan Aram and blessed him. And God said to him, your name is Jacob. No longer shall your name be called Jacob, but Israel shall be your name. So he called his name Israel. And God said to him, I am God Almighty. Be fruitful, be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall come from you, and kings shall come from your own body. The land that I gave to Abraham and Isaac I will give to you, and I will give the land of your offspring after you. Then God went up from him in the place where he had spoken with him, and Jacob set up a pillar in the place where he had spoken with him, a pillar of stone. He poured out a drink offering on it and poured oil on it. So Jacob called the name of the place where God had spoken with him Bethel. Wasn't it already called Bethel? Was it not already called Bethel? What the fuck is going on? When they journeyed from Bethel, when they were still some distance from Eprat, Rachel went into labor, and she had hard labor. And when her labor was at its hardest, the midwife said to her, do not fear, for you have another son. And as her soul was departing, for she was dying, she called his name Ben Oni, but his father called him Ben Jamin. Wow. Okay, so your dying wife's wish for the name of your child. That doesn't matter. You get to name your child because women don't matter, and because who cares what a woman thinks? You just gotta use them as political tools, marry them off to people. You gotta give them to people. If you want a wife, you have to pay for her, so you're buying her. If she has a dying wish, you gotta ignore it and go the way that you want to go, because women don't matter. I mean, who cares about women? They're just women. I mean, who cares? I mean, Jesus fucking Christ, this book. It's so disturbing. I think that it's so disturbing because so many people believe this book is like all good, or they believe that this is the word of God. They believe. It's so disturbing. It's so disturbing. I've talked to people who've read this book like 20, 30 times. Well, 5. I'm exaggerating, but I've talked to people who've read this book like 5 times. From front to back, or at least they've said. And they read this book and they think it's good. They think all the stuff in it is good. They don't see any problems with all the stuff in it. And I can understand that some of that is them interpreting it. And them interpreting it in, that as positive a way as they can, or, cultural context, or blah, 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 blah. I can't. It's so disturbing to me. It's so disturbing to me. I can't even begin to imagine trying to see this book as a good book. It's so disturbing. It's so disgusting. There's murder, there's attempted murder, there's rape, there's misogyny. I just can't even imagine. I just can't even imagine trying to read this book and going, oh yeah, this is a good book. It's so disturbing. The land that I gave to where was I? Oh yeah, Benjamin, yeah. So Rachel died, and she was buried on the way of Eprat. That is Bethlehem. And Jacob set up a pillar over her tomb. It is a pillar of Rachel's tomb, which is there on this day. To this day. Israel journeyed on and pitched his tent beyond the tower of Der. While Israel lived in that land, Reuben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard of it. Now the sons of Jacob were 12. Okay, the sons of Leah, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, whatever, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel, Yosep and Benjamin, the sons of Bilhah, Rachel's servant, Dan and Naphtali. Speaking of Benjamin, I think it's a good time to mention that I have a Patreon, and at the time of recording this, I have two patrons. I have Benjamin Johnson and Michael McConnell, I think. Yeah. Right, and so those are my two patrons. Thank you so much to my patrons. Please consider joining my Patreon. I also have a Discord server. So if you like my content, please consider supporting me and joining my Discord. And if you don't like my content, then you can join my Discord and argue with me, or you can leave a comment and argue with me. If you like my content, also consider subscribing and leaving a like. So anyway, back to the book. Just gotta plug my stuff for a minute. The sons of Zilpah, Leah's servant, Gad and Asher. These were the sons of Jacob, who were born to him in Paddan Aram. And Jacob came to his father Isaac at Mamre, or Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac had sojourned. Now the days of Isaac were 180 years. 180 years. 180 years. That is 100 more than the average, they're not the average, but slightly above the average of the modern human lifespan in America. This book was written in a time, compiled in a time where the average lifespan was 40 years. And people died at a lot younger of ages because of illnesses and bad health. And supposedly he lived to 180 years. Now understand the Jewish calendar was different. At the time, the Jewish calendar changed, and it wasn't very well explained to the people who were told these stories later on. That these stories passed down, and they didn't change it to accommodate the changing in the calendar. I comprehend that. I understand that. I fully understand that, and the historical context, and I get that. But the English version of this book, cannot be 100% accurate if it's saying that someone lived to be 180 years old. You have to provide some evidence for that, and there's no evidence provided in the book that that's even possible. No evidence provided in the book, and no one has presented any evidence to me that that's even possible. If you have any evidence, then go ahead and present it in the comments. If you want to explain it in some way that this translation can be 100% accurate, sure, fine. Go ahead, try to explain it. I don't think you'll be able to. I also want to point out that I don't know what I wanted to say. Never mind. That's my complaint. And Isaac breathed his last, and he died, and was gathered to his people old and full of days. And his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. These are the generations of Esau, that is Edom. Is Esau Edom, or was that established before? Was I supposed to know that? I thought Edom was a different thing. Whatever, I don't care. Esau took his wives from the Canaanites. Adah, the daughter of Elon, the Hittite. Oholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon, the Hivite. I don't know what the hell a Hivite is. Some Middle Eastern group, I assume. And Basemat, Ishmael's daughter, the sister of Nebaioth. And Adah bore to Esau Eliphaz. Basemath bore Reuel, and Oholibamah bore Yeush, Yalam, and Korah. These are the sons of Esau who were born to him in the land of Canaan. Then Esau took his wives, his sons and daughters, and all the members of his household, his livestock, and his beasts, and all his property that he had acquired in the land of Canaan. He went into a land far away from his brother Jacob, For their possessions were too great for them to dwell together. The land of their sojourners could not support them because of their livestock. So Esau settled in the hill country of Seir. Esau is Edom. Esau is Edom. Okay, I guess. These are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites, in the hill country of Seir. These are the names of Esau's sons. We already went over it. What? Why are we doing it again? The sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. Timnah was a concubine of Eliphaz, Esau's son. She bore Amalek to Eliphaz. Now I know Amalek refers to the Amalekites, and the Amalekites are later genocided by the Israelites. These are the sons of Adach, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Reuel, Nahat, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These are the sons of Basamat, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Oholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon, Esau's wife. Why did we have to go over all that again? Who cares? Book is written badly. She bore to Esau Yeush, Yalam, and Korach. We already went over this. These are the chiefs of the sons of Esau. The sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn of Esau. The chiefs Teman. We already went over this. Korach, Gatam, and Amalek. These are the chiefs. Already went over this. Oh my fucking god. And now they're going over the sons of Reuel. We already went over this. It just keeps repeating the same thing. This is actually unreal. These are the sons of Esau. That is Edom, and these are their chiefs. These are the sons of Seir, the Horite, the inhabitants of the land, Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anach, Dishon, Ezer, and Dishan. These are the chiefs of the Horites, the sons of Seir in the land of Edom, the sons of Lotan were Hori and Hemam. Lotan's sister was Timnah. These are the sons of Shobal, Alvan, Manahat, Ebal, Shepah, and Onam. These are the sons of Zibeon, Ayah, and Anah. He is Anah who found the hot springs in the wilderness, and he pastured the donkeys of Zibeon, his father. These are the children of Anah, Dishon, and Oholibamah. These are the sons of Dishon. Bunch of other names. These are sons of Ezer. Bunch of other names. I don't care. Stop with the names, please. These are the kings who reigned in the land of Edom before any king reigned over the Israelites. Bela, the son of Beor, reigned in Edom, and his city being Din-Habah. Bela died, and Yobab, the son of Zerah of Bozrah, reigned in his place. Yobab died, and Husham in the land of the Temanites reigned in his place. Husham died, and Hadad, the son of Bedad, who defeated Midian in the country of Moab, reigned in his place. The name of the city was Avit. Hadad died, and Samlah of Masrekah reigned in his place. Samlah died, and Shaul of Rehoboth of the Euphrates reigned in his place. Shaul died, and Baal-Hanan, the son of Achbor, reigned in his place. Baal-Hanan, the son of Achbor, died, and Hadar reigned in his place, the city being Paul. His wife's name was Metethabel, the daughter of Matred, daughter of Mezahab. Please bring back the plot, man. I didn't like the plot, but it was better than just naming a bunch of people. Jesus Christ. These are the names of the chiefs. If I could grab the page and turn it. Of Esau, according to their clans and their dwelling place, by their names, the chiefs Timnah, Alva, Jetet. Oh, stop naming people. These are the chiefs of Edom, according to their dwellings and place in the land of their possessions. Okay, chapter 37. Can we stop naming people, please? Jacob lived in the land of his father's sojournings, the land of Canaan. We already know this. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was pasturing the flock with his brothers. He was a boy with the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought a bad report of them to their father. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any other of his sons because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a robe of many colors. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any other of his sons. We already did that because he was the son of his old age. And I just read that part. I didn't think I had read that part because this book repeats itself so fucking often. I thought it was genuinely a new part where they were just repeating themselves. Please make Genesis be over. Holy crap! How long is it? Oh, it's not even close. Oh no. Oh no, we have like 2 more videos of Genesis, I think. Oh man. Oh, this is bad. 56 to 40. Oh no, man. Why did I decide to do this? But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peacefully to him. That makes sense. Now Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him even more. That makes even more sense. He said to them, "Hear this dream that I have dreamed. Behold, we were binding sheaves in the land, and behold, my sheaf arose and stood upright, and behold, your sheaves gathered around it and bowed down to my sheaf." What is a sheaf? It's not a sheep, it's a sheaf. What's a sheaf? His brothers said to him, "Are you indeed to reign over us, or are you indeed to rule over us?" So they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. Yep, makes sense. Then he dreamed another dream. Dreams are so important, they matter so much. Then he dreamed another dream and told to his brothers and said, "Behold, I have dreamed another dream. Behold, the sun, the moon, and 11 stars were bowing down to me." 11 stars. Not 20, not 10, not 12, not 11. Why 11? I don't know. Okay. But when he told to his father and to his brothers, his father rebuked him and said to him, "What is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall I and your mother and your brothers indeed come to bow ourselves to the ground before you?" And his brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the saying in mind. Now his brothers went to pasture their father's flock near Shechem. And Israel said to Joseph, "Are not your brothers pasturing the flock at Shechem? Come, I will send you to them. Here I am." So he said to him, "Go now, see if it is well with your brothers and with the flock, and bring me word." And a man found him wandering in the fields, and the man asked, What are you seeking?" "I am seeking my brothers. Tell me, please, where they are pasturing the flock." And the man said, "They have gone away, for I have heard them say, 'Let us go to Dotan.'" So Joseph went after his brothers and found them at Dotan. They saw him from afar, and before he came near to them, they conspired against him to kill him. "I am going to take a rest. I will be back. It will be no time at all for you, but for me it will be quite some time." Okay, I'm back. I know it doesn't seem like there was any time at all. There was like 20 minutes for me. Maybe 10, I don't know. I got a drink of water. My throat feels a little better. See how long that lasts, I guess. Okay, where were we? They were conspiring to kill him. They said to one another, Here comes this dreamer. Come now, let us kill him and throw him into one of the pits. Then we will say that a fierce animal has devoured him, and we will see that will become of his dreams, and we will see what will become of his dreams. But when Reuben heard it, he rescued him out of their hands, saying, "Let us not take his life." And Reuben said to them, "Shed no blood. Throw him into this pit here in the wilderness, but do not lay a hand on him, that he might rescue him out of their hand to restore him to his father. So when Joseph, I don't care enough. When Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him to his robe, and the robe of many colors that he wore, and they stripped him of his robe, and they took him and threw him into a pit. The pit was empty; there was no water in it. I don't know. Okay. Then they sat down to eat, and looking up, they saw a caravan of Ishmaelites. I don't know how to pronounce that. Ishmaelites, coming from Gilead, with their camels bearing gum, balm, and myrrh, whatever, on their way to carry it down to Egypt. What is creating that glare? Oh, it's right there. There's one thing I can't stand, it's glare. I don't like how bright the sun is. Every time I go outside, I'm always squinting. Especially during winter, because it's snowy. So there's a lot of really bright white light coming into my eyes. It's super annoying. I mean, I appreciate the sun for what it does, but, you know. Then Judah said to his brothers, "What profit is it if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother, our own flesh." And his brothers listened to him. Then Midianite traders passed by, and they drew Joseph up and lifted him out of the pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver. They took Joseph to Egypt. When Reuben returned to the pit and saw that Joseph was not in the pit, he tore his clothes and returned to his brothers and said, "The boy is gone, and where shall I go?" Then they took Joseph's robes and slaughtered a goat and dipped the robe in the blood. Damn. And they sent the robe of many colors and brought it to their father and said, "This we have found. Please identify whether it is your son's robe or not." And he identified it and said, "It is my son's robe. A fierce animal has devoured him. Joseph is without doubt torn to pieces." Then Jacob tore his garments and put sackcloth on his loins and mourned for his son many days. All his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted and said, "No, I shall go to Sheol to my son, mourning." Thus his father wept for him. Meanwhile, the Midianites had sold him to Egypt to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, not the Pharaoh, of Pharaoh, someone named Pharaoh. I think every time I see Pharaoh, I'm just gonna say the Pharaoh. I'm not gonna act like Pharaoh's a name. This is obviously a poorly done translation of the term the Pharaoh. His name wasn't Pharaoh. Okay, he's the Pharaoh. It's a title. Now maybe the Jews thought it was a name, but it's a title, and I'm going to use it as a title. I'm not going to refer to him by the name Pharaoh, because there's no Pharaoh with the name Pharaoh. That's absurd. No Pharaoh was named Nesut. What's the other term? BT, right? No Pharaoh was named Nesut BT, and no Pharaoh was named just Nesut or BT, or Biti or Bitai, whatever. I think specifically, I think it was BT though, Nesut BT, but I don't know. I don't remember if that's actually how they pronounce that in ancient Egypt. Whatever. I think they actually pronounced Nesut as never mind, I don't know. Who cares? Not related to the topic anyway. An officer of the Pharaoh, the captain of the guard. It happened at the time that Judah went down from his brothers and turned aside to a certain Adulamite, whose name was Hirach, where Judah saw the daughter of a certain Canaanite whose name was Shua. Not Shua, just Shua. He took her and went into her, and she conceived and bore a son, and he named his son Ir. She conceived again and bore a son, and she called his name Onan. Yet again she bore a son, and she called his name Shelah. Judah was in Chezib when she bore him. What? Oh. And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. But Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord put him to death. Then Judah said to Onan, "Go into your brother's wife and perform the duty of a brother-in-law to her, and raise up offspring for her brother." Then Onan knew that the offspring would not be his. What? Go into your brother's wife and perform the duty of a brother-in-law to her, and raise up offspring for your brother. What? 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 I don't want to know. I don't want to know. That is, if I'm reading that right, I don't know if I'm reading that right. If I'm reading that right, that's disgusting. I guess there's no other way to read it. So whenever he went into his brother's wife, he would waste, so as to not give offspring to his brother. This is gross. This is gross on so many levels I don't even want to. And what he did was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and he put him to death also. Because God has no fucking creativity, and anytime someone does something he doesn't like, Yahweh immediately puts them to death. Jesus. Then Judah said to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, "Remain a widow in your father's house till Shelah, my son, grows up." For he feared that he would die like his brothers. So Tamar went and remained in her father's house. They both start with an H and an O and basically mean the same thing. In the course of time, the wife of Judah, Shua's daughter, died. When Judah was confronted, he went up to Timnah to his sheep shearers, he and his father Hira, the Adulamite. And when Tamar was told, "Your father-in-law is going to Timnah to shear his sheep," she took off her widow's garments and covered herself with a veil, wrapping herself up, and sat at the entrance of Enaim, which is on the road to Timnah. For she saw that Shelah was grown up, and she had not been given to him in marriage. When Judah saw her, he thought she was a prostitute, for she had covered her face. That's just a cultural thing. He turned to her at the roadside and said, "Come, let me come into you," for he did not know that she was his daughter-in-law. She said, "What will you give me that you may come into me?" He answered, "I will send you a young goat from the flock." And she said, "If you give me a pledge until you send it." "What pledge shall I give you?" "Your signet, and your cord, and your staff that is in your hand." So he gave them to her, and went into her, and she conceived by him. Then she arose and went away, and taking off her veil, she put on the garments of her widowhood. When Judah sent the young goat by his friend when Judah sent the young goat by his friend the Adulamite to take back his pledge from the woman's hand, he did not find her. And he asked the men of the place, "Where is the cult prostitute who was at Enaim at the roadside?" And they said, "No cult prostitute has been here." So he returned to Judah and said, "I have not found her." Also the men of the place said, "No cult prostitute has been here." Judah replied, "Let her keep the things as her own, or we shall be laughed at. You see, I sent that young goat, and you did not find her." About 3 months later, Judah was told, "Tamar, your daughter-in-law, has been immoral. Moreover, she is pregnant by immorality." And Judah said, "Bring her out and let her be burned." Jesus fucking Christ. No room for creativity, no room for jail, no fines, no exile, no ostracization, no nothing. Just if they do something wrong, kill them. As she was being brought out, she sent word to her father-in-law, "By the man to whom these belong, I am pregnant." And she said, "Please identify who these are, the signet and the cord and the staff." Then Judah identified them and said, She is more righteous than I, since I did not give her to my son Shelah, and he did not know her again. When the time of her labor came, there were twins in her womb. And when she was in labor, one put out a hand, and the midwife took and tied a scarlet thread to his hand, saying, "This one came out first." But as he drew back his hand, behold, his brother came out. And she said, "What a breach you have made for yourself." Therefore his name was called Perez. What? Afterward his brother came out with the scarlet thread on his hand, and his name was called Zerah. Now Joseph had been brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, the officer of the Pharaoh, the captain of the guard, an Egyptian, had brought him from the Ishmaelites who had brought him down there. The Lord was with Joseph, and he became a successful man, and he was in the house of his Egyptian master. His master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord caused all that he did to succeed in his hands. So Joseph found favor in his sight and attended him, and he had made him overseer of his house and put him in charge of all that he had. From the time that he made him overseer in the house, in his house, and over all that he had, the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. The blessing of the Lord was on all that he had in house and field. So he left all that he had in Joseph's charge, and because of him he had no concern about anything but the food he ate. Now Joseph was handsome in form and appearance, and after a time his master's wife cast her eyes on Joseph and said, "Lie with me." But he refused and said to his master's wife, "Behold, because of me my master has no concern about anything in the house, and he has put everything he has in charge of me. In my charge," whatever, they both mean the same thing, "he is not greater in this house than I am, nor has he kept back anything from me, except you, because you are his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" And she spoke to Joseph day after day, and he would not listen to her, to lie beside her, or to be with her. But one day when he went into his house to do work, and none of the men of the house were there in the house, she caught him by his garment, saying, "Lie with me." But he left his garment in her hand and fled and got out of the house. And as soon as she saw that she had left his garment in her hand and had fled out of the house, she called to the men of the household and said to them, "See, he has brought among us a Hebrew to laugh at us. He came into me to lie with me, and I cried out with a loud voice. And as soon as he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried out, he left his garment beside me and fled and got out of the house." Then she laid up his garment by her until his master came back. And she told him the same story, saying, "The Hebrew servant whom you have brought among us came into me to laugh at me. But as soon as I lifted up my voice and cried, blah, 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 blah." As soon as his master heard this, this is the way the servant treated me, his anger was kindled. Wait, what? This is the way your servant treated his anger was kindled. What? As soon as his master heard the words that his wife spoke to him, "This is the way your servant treated me, his anger was kindled." I don't understand. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined, and he was there in prison. Well, finally, someone put someone in prison instead of fucking killing them for a crime. And it's not someone who believes in Yahweh. It's not a Jew. It's not an Israelite. The Israelite really isn't a term that is relevant at this point, but it's not someone who believes in Yahweh. It's an Egyptian, person that we're supposed to see as inherently bad for being Egyptian. And they're the only person who didn't murder someone for doing a single crime. And we're supposed to see them as bad. Okay then. Well, where were we? But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him steadfast love and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison put Joseph in charge of all the prisoners who were in the prison. Why does everyone keep giving Joseph jobs? I don't understand. What? Whatever was done there, he was the one who did it. I genuinely don't fucking understand. The keeper of the prison paid no attention to anything that was in Joseph's charge because the Lord was with him. Whatever he did, the Lord made it succeed. This doesn't make any sense. I understand that God is, all powerful, whatever. But this doesn't. I don't understand. Why are they making him in charge of stuff? I mean, except for just saying God done it. Sometime after this, the cupbearer of the king of Egypt and his baker committed an offense against their lord, the king of Egypt. And the Pharaoh, not Pharaoh, the Pharaoh, it's a title, not a name. And the Pharaoh was angry with his two officers, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker, and he put them in custody in the house of the captain of the guard in the prison where Joseph was confined. The captain of the guard appointed Joseph to be with them, and he attended them. They continued for some time in custody. At one point, they both dreamed, the cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt, who were confined in the prison, each his own dream, and each dream with its own interpretation. When Joseph came to them in the morning, he saw that they were troubled. So he asked the Pharaoh's officers, who were with him in custody in his master's house, "Why are your faces downcast today?" They said to him, "We have had dreams, and there is no one to interpret them." And Joseph said to them, Do not interpretations belong to God? Please tell them to me." So the chief cupbearer told, "What? Interpretations belong to God, so tell your interpretations to me." "But I thought interpretations belong to God." Is it because the Lord speaks through Joseph, in which case Joseph is an arrogant asshole? Not that anyone in this book isn't a completely fucking arrogant asshole. Except for all the bad guys, of course. All the bad guys aren't arrogant or narcissistic assholes. They're all perfectly fine. But all the good guys, they're the arrogant, narcissistic assholes. Who wrote this fucking book? An arrogant, narcissistic asshole, probably. Okay. They said to him, "We have had dreams, and there is no one to interpret them." So the chief cupbearer told his dream to Joseph and said to them, "In my dream there was a vine before me, and on the vine there were 3 branches, and soon as it budded, its blossoms shot forth, and the clusters ripened into grapes. The Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes and pressed them into the Pharaoh's cup." I'm emphasizing the because that's the word I'm adding. It's not in the original text. And I'm adding that word because it's more historically accurate, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I don't know what Pharaoh means. It's a title. It means king. I might as well be saying the king. Yeah, I know the ancient Jews didn't think that it was actually they called it the king of Egypt. They didn't know Pharaoh was a title, but I don't care. It's a title. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend it's not. Okay. The Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes and pressed them into the Pharaoh's cup and placed the cup in the Pharaoh's hand. Then Joseph said to him, "This is its interpretation. The 3 branches are 3 days. Why? Because he said so. In 3 days, the Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your office, and you shall place the Pharaoh's cup in his hand as formerly when you were his cupbearer. Only remember me when it is well with you, and please do me the kindness to mention me to the Pharaoh, and so get me out of this house. For I was indeed stolen out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also I have done nothing that they should put me into this pit." When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was favorable, he said to Joseph, it wasn't about how accurate it was or how reliable he thought the interpretation was. It was purely about the fact that the interpretation was positive. "I also had a dream. There were 3 cup baskets on my head, and in the uppermost basket there were the sorts of baked foods for the Pharaoh, but the birds were eating it out of the basket in my head." Joseph answered and said, "This is my interpretation. The 3 baskets are 3 days. In 3 days, the Pharaoh will lift up your head from you and hang you on a tree, and the birds will eat the flesh from you. On the 3rd day, which was the Pharaoh's birthday, he made a feast for all his servants and lifted up the head of the chief cupbearer and the head of the chief baker among his servants. He restored the chief cupbearer to his position, and he placed the cup in the Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker as Joseph had interpreted to them. Yet the chief cupbearer did not remember Joseph, but forgot him." Chapter 41. we're at 1 hour and 25 minutes. I think I'm done. I don't particularly like the book. I don't think there's any way for me to particularly like this book. There's not a lot to critique at this moment. There will be a lot to critique coming up. I know that for a fact. We're going to get into the murdering of the Egyptians, just for the sake of murdering the Egyptians, because one Egyptian or a few Egyptians, I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know the exact specifics. I haven't read the book yet, of course. But they murder all of the Egyptians that they can, all the firstborn sons of the Egyptians, except for the ones with the mark on the door, because of the actions of a few. Just as God condemns us all to hell for the actions of Adam and Eve. And then after that, we're going to get into the Hebrews. The Jews are back where they want to be, not in slavery, of course, but in the Middle East, where they desire to be. They don't desire to be in slavery, obviously. And the Hebrews, the Jews, they start going through, and they start slaughtering people. They start genociding people. First it's Moses, and he kills a bunch of people, and then it's Joshua, and Joshua kills a whole bunch of people, and then it's Jephthah, and Jephthah kills a whole bunch of people. I think that's it. But they kill a whole bunch of people. Joshua alone kills completely decimates, wipes out 5 different ethnicities, right, off the face of the planet. And the often given justification is that the Canaanites were doing terrible things. I don't know how that excuses what the people of Ai were doing. They weren't doing anything, right? They just got killed for being in the land, but whatever. It said that the Canaanites were sacrificing their kids. And then Jephthah proceeds to kill his daughter. And also Abraham almost kills his son and is only stopped by an angel. And that's often cited as, God would never allow him to actually kill his son and blah, blah, blah. And so that's evidence that God is good and that it was, good for them to kill or genocide all those people for killing their kids. But Abraham would have gone along with killing his kid if the angel hadn't appeared or whatever, he was completely a psychopath, right? Not to mention the fact that Jephthah kills his child. I haven't gotten to that part yet, but I know enough about it. Jephthah goes ahead and kills his daughter because he says, "Okay, Lord, I want to genocide an entire group of people," right? Which is fucked up on its own. But he goes, "I want to go to war with these people. I want to genocide them, or I want to go to war with these people." And then the Lord says, "I will help you genocide them, completely destroy them. They won't exist anymore." And so Jephthah goes through, and he goes through with his army, and he genocides entire groups of people. But before he's able to do that, before he gets the blessing from the Lord says, before you do that, I will only help you if you agree to kill the first person who runs out of your home after you return from war. And he says, "Okay, I will." He says, "But that would require me killing my daughter." And he goes, "Yeah, you might have to kill your daughter, whoever runs out of your home first. If it's your daughter, you'll have to kill your daughter. If it's your servants, you'll have to kill your servants." And he comes home after the war, and he's like, "I really hope it's my servant." And then his daughter runs out, and then he sacrifices his daughter. And unlike with the story of Abraham and Isaac, he lets it go. He lets it happen, and Jephthah kills his daughter, burns her, and then stabs her, and goes through all the whole things that they would go through if they were sacrificing a goat, but with a person. I consider goats to be people, but with a human being, I should say. I use the word person to mean any living thing, because I think it's wrong to kill any or harm or kill any living thing, which just makes it more messed up. Because I think it's wrong to kill any living thing, and they're sacrificing goats and they're sacrificing sheep and all of this stuff. They're killing all these animals. Just for the sake of killing these animals and burning them, so that Yahweh can smell the flesh of them burning. Blood obsessed war god. It's a fucked up book. Yep. Okay, that was reading the Bible part. Atheist reads the Bible part 4. I have a Patreon, as I said before. Consider donating $1 a month or $3 a month. I have a Discord. Consider joining that Discord. If you like my videos, consider subscribing and leaving a like. Well, of course, if you'll have to like my videos. You have to like my videos to join the Patreon. I mean, you don't have to, but that's it's sort of like a I wouldn't expect you to join the Patreon if you don't like my videos. And I mean, if you want to join the Discord to argue with me, then that's cool. Even if you don't like my videos. In fact, I do promote people joining my Discord who don't like my videos so that we can argue, because I do like to argue, and I like to argue in real time, which is why I do the videos that I do. It's not so much about fighting with people. I don't care that much about like the arguments, but like debating the topic, trying to get people to think in a new way, thinking in a new way, right? All these sorts of things, all the positives of a debate. I really enjoy that, and I really enjoy trying to apply what I know about logic and reasoning, and science and all the stuff that I know, to try to debate people, on a topic that I find to be incredibly ridiculous and silly, and absurd. If you have a problem with this video, leave a comment on why. In fact, leave as many comments as you want. In fact, leave as long of comments as you want. If you post 5 comments and they're all 5 paragraphs long, I will try to get to them. I might not get to them. I'm just gonna say it now. I might not get to them. I struggle with long comments, because I can't read. I mean, not that I haven't been reading for 1 hour and 20 minutes, but whatever. So anyway, I'm sorry if you can hear me sniffling. I'm a tiny bit sick. My brother is really, really sick, and so I've had a little slightly clogged nose and been coughing a little and sneezing a little. I'm just a tiny bit sick. I'm not very sick, but I'm just a tiny bit sick. So I will try to get to all the comments. Sometimes I don't respond to comments because I don't know what to say, or sometimes I don't respond to comments because I'm like, oh, I'll respond to that comment later, and I never do. And it's just because I don't know. I've heard all of it. I've heard it all. People will like present an argument like it's like I haven't heard it before, or like it's some amazing argument. It's like, your argument is shit, and here's why. And they're like, oh, but what about this rebuttal to that? And I'm like, I've heard that before too. I like when I hear stuff that is new, stuff I haven't heard before. It's incredibly rare. And when I do hear that stuff, it's just as stupid as all the common things. It just happens to be unique. I mostly argue with this topic, I think, because over the course of my life, I've more and more I've not liked wished that religion didn't exist. Like I used to just be like, oh, I'm not religious, and I don't like the effects of religion. But now it's like actively like I wish religion just didn't exist as a thing, which you can feel either way about, whatever. But so that's part of the reason that I don't, or that I like to argue about the topic, even though I think the argument is stupid, and I think all the things that theists say are just repeated and dumb. I guess I would put that respectfully, but I don't really know that there's a way to put it respectfully. I also mean a lot of my words pretty literally, so. But so the goal is kind of just like if I was talking to one of my friends and I said, if I'm on my deathbed and religion still exists, then my life was pointless. I shouldn't have been alive because it doesn't matter. If I'm still alive, or if I'm dead, I mean, and I don't get to see the end of religion, then my life was completely pointless. I shouldn't have existed, period. Who cares? I shouldn't even, and that's obviously a bit of an over exaggeration. I don't necessarily feel that way, but I would like to be able to see the end of religion by the end of my days, because it just promotes too much disgusting things. It's, yeah. Yep. I hope that someone enjoyed this video or got something out of it. I guess enjoyment would be something that you would get out of it. Thank you for watching to the very end, or if you're skipping ahead to the very end instead of watching the video, you're weird, and I don't know why you're doing that. Have a good rest of your day. I hope you check out some of my other videos. If this is your first video from this series that you're watching, you should go back and you should watch the other 3 parts. thank you again, and have a good day.